It's probably best if I start off and just tell you about the team that's wrapped around Venus Finance and how we're built, and then we sort of can move into what Venus Finance is about and how the actual project is going to work. And so, really, just to kick off with how the team is built, we sort of have, if you like, quite a unique setup in our space. So, like I say, I'm Raha. I'm the community manager, so I'm not part of the core project team. I joined the project about 2 weeks ago. And I was approached by Knight of DeFi DJ, and this is his project. He has developed the project with Communion, who I'll talk about in a second, and we have this rather unique dividing line of project owner and the development team. So Communion are a incubator for new projects, and they have been established. They have between the team, and you can go to their Discord and their website. Over 85 years of engineering experience in the technical world, and they are introducing projects to DeFi. They do not get paid until the project launches and is successful, so they do their work at risk, and they want to be able to bring project managers' ideas to life, and this is their first launch, so it's really important to Communion that this goes well, because they want to attract other projects to come to them to use their development skills to develop their projects. And they are already KYC'd with CoinScope, and you can go and look at their website and join their Discord and ask any questions. Knight is the project owner, as I've said. He is going to KYC between pre-sale and launch, because we need to do the pre-sale raise first. And he will be fully KYC before the actual project goes. So just to say up front, it's on the Avalanche network. The token will be Venus, and it will be paired with AVAX. I think we sort of talk about this double security layer, and that being the two teams. So because Communion are involved and have control of the contract, which will obviously be fully audited and available, that means that it makes Knight of DeFi Degen not have total control of the team, because they are not going to allow him to rug the funds because that would affect their reputation. So they are going to be on the multi-sig, and they're going to be in control of those sides of the project. Equally, Knight will be on the multi-sig. So even though they're two separate teams, they'll need to work together to make this a success. So they'll both be KYC'd. The LP will be locked for a year. There is no minting function for the team in the contract, because this is a actual deflationary token. It starts with a max supply and burns down. We do not reward any tokens out to any individuals in the project, which means that we do not have to worry about the inflationary impact of minting tokens.
Okay.
We'll be locking the team tokens for a year, 50% of them, and it's written into the contract that the max tax on the contract is 22%. So I think what's interesting is to talk about how, therefore, the protocol works to generate both revenue and returns when there is no, if you like, no daily rebase, which we've seen, whether that be with nodes, with NFTs, with DAOs over the last 6 months as the DeFi space has evolved. So,
real quick, can I ask a question on the last one? So
absolutely. I'll pause at the end of each. Sorry, go on.
Awesome. No, you're totally fine. So it says that the max tax in the contract is 22%. Is that the standard tax, or is it a variable tax depending on some other factor?
So if you could let me get to about slide 3.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I can go through the taxation in detail. So
Getting a little bit ahead of it.
how
Sorry
that's
about
built
that.
and how that's distributed. This is my summary start, and you're already into your detail.
Sorry about
So
that.
that's good. If you just give me a few, no, it's fine.
Go
Just give me a few seconds. Let me get to that. So basically, Venus Finance, it's a containerized reflection as a service project. What this means is that we are not a single protocol. What you're able to do is add further protocols into the container. Even individuals can bring investment ideas that can be added into the container and developed by the team. So we're not stuck as either a staker or as a rebate or as a reflection token. We can add multiple protocols into the container. We're going to launch with 4. So it's fully formed at launch with the ability with 4 separate features, those being infection, burn, jackpot, and reflection. And we'll talk about what each of those mean in a second. But as I said, the community then can decide on which future protocols can be added. And the beauty of that is that If we go back 6 months, when things like potentially, nodes were in their infancy or not even conceived, they've come along and there's been a lot of new projects spring up and a lot of forks. It's key to say that this will just allow us to add those new features in without having to rewrite the contract or without having to do a V2. The contract itself is being written from the ground up. It is not a fork of any contract. It is a brand new contract. And that's allowed us the flexibility to build it in a way to be able to add future features in without needing to fork the contract. So I'll talk about taxes, because I said the 3 T's, tokenomics, taxes, and treasury. Let's quickly cover tokenomics. There are 1 billion maximum supply. 50% will be sat in the burn wallet, which is going to be under multisig and will be burned throughout the project. 40% going to liquidity, and we're going to have 90 million tokens for pre-sale. The team tokens are maxed out at 10 million, but it'll be less than that because when I talk about whitelists and future plans, there are going to be quite a lot of giveaways available to investors. And we just have some wallet restrictions and buy and sell restrictions. That's really to stop seismic shifts in price by whales, etc. I know they can have multiple wallets, but there's only so much you can do. But there are some restrictions in the contract. If I just go to the right hand side and sort of cover tokens, cover taxes. So there's a buy tax of 20%. Now, 10% of that will go to reflections or dividends. It might be another term for it, which I'll explain how that works when I come to reflections. 2% go liquidity and 6% will go into the treasury. And then the remaining 2% will go to either burn or infection. And when I talk about infection, you'll understand why that's an either or. So the buy tax is set at 20%. Yes, it could be pushed to 22% in the contract, but that's where it will start. The sell tax is actually maxed at 22% from the start, and that's because it's identical to the buy tax with an additional 2% for the jackpot. And I'll talk about how the jackpot works when we get to that slide. So when we talk about the tax, is it variable? Within the 22%, the allocations can be moved around, but the maximum ever buy or sell tax will be 22%. We'll then be using the treasury for either yield-bearing DeFi protocols to feed back into the investors, or actually investing into additional protocols to join the ecosystem as I described earlier, and that will be voted on by the community. We'll go through what is available, what the options are, and we'll let the community decide on, because we only want to bring protocols into the container that supports our deflationary aspect. We don't want to bring inflationary protocols in there because that would go against the ethos of the whole project. And we'll be using them for buybacks and burns just to yield the token price. But ultimately, the treasury is there for further investment in the protocol and to gain revenue from yield-bearing DeFi protocols. Just before I move on, do you want to ask anything on there? Do you want me to go through and we'll wait to the end?
We can wait till the end. That is totally fine. I'm writing down a couple questions.
Okay. So let's talk about one of the features, which is infection. So infection is the referral system. So basically, if you send a token from your wallet to another wallet, you have infected it and tagged it. Every time a buy happens from that wallet, then rather than burning the 2% of tokens, you will get them back into your wallet. So this is how, when I said it's either burn or infection, this is how the 2% would circulate back to you as a referral bonus, or will burn them if that wallet that is buying the tokens has not been infected, has not had a referral. Okay. We obviously say have a burn mechanism. So 2% of all the buys will be burnt unless they're infections, and 2% of all sells will be burnt. When you couple that with the fact that we have 50% of the initial tokens will be burnt over the protocol lifeblood, we are simply looking to decrease token and therefore increase value over time to the holders of the token. That's a pretty standard burn mechanism, but that's what's in place for burn. Reflection is an interesting example of how we're going to actually return investment. So reflection is the 10% tax. Now that tax is on a buy and a sell. So a reflection will be returned to you in USDT initially, and I'll talk about that in a second, through the DApp where you would claim that amount, and it will be dependent on the trading volume and your proportion of tokens you own. So there's an example there that if we had $100,000 of trading volume in 24 hours, 10% is returned to the holders in reflections, so that's $10,000. If you own 0.1%, you would be able to claim $10 for that day. Now, the interesting thing is that's going to be in USDC. However, what we're going to do as we move forward is allow the community to vote to be able to claim that in other tokens. And that will all depend on what the community demand is. So, for example, if the community decided they wanted to be able to claim in AVAX, we would add AVAX. So you would be able to claim in either USDC or AVAX. It won't replace it. It will become a catalogue of tokens you can claim against. And one of the good things that we see about this is that will enable us to work with other successful projects and protocols, talk about adding their tokens to our DApp for claiming, and that would obviously be a cross-marketing exercise then where that protocol would explain to its users that they can receive their tokens, whatever they may be. And I don't want to call out projects because we're here to talk about Venus, but whatever they may be, they will be able to promote us. We will promote them because you'll be able to claim their tokens directly from our DApp. So that is how reflections work. You can claim as often as you like, they accumulate, but they will work based on trading volume. So one of the key factors in the protocols is to maintain some healthy trading dynamics, because obviously if there are no trades, then reflections, there are no trades. So one of the ways that we plan to do that from the outset is by the jackpot. And what happens with the jackpot is 2% of all sales are converted to AVAX and placed in the jackpot pool. The jackpot's then won when there are no buys of more than 0.1 of an AVAX for 10 minutes. So if there is a buy of one AVAX at 3 minutes past 2 and nothing happens until 13 minutes past 2, no other buy, the winner will be the last purchase and they will receive that AVAX direct to their wallet, 50% of it paid to their wallet, the rest will go back to the treasury. So there is an incentive to be the last buyer depending on the jackpot value. So if you think about a lot of trading going on through the day, if we get to a point where trading quietens down, somebody buying one AVAX would win a jackpot that may have $1,000 in it or $2,000 because they happen to be the last trader that bought, and then there was a 10-minute gap. Now, we don't expect the jackpot to be tens of thousands every week, but then again, it could be 3 jackpots, could be one a day, or it could take days to win it. It will all depend on the trading volume, but this is sort of a mechanism to encourage the purchase of the token. And it's quite a low threshold in 0.1 AVAX. I mean, at the moment, that's $2.50, right? But it's quite a low threshold to encourage trading. However, we don't want the jackpot to get out of control. So if it reaches $100,000 in value, we have what we call the Big Bang. And what we'll do at that point is $50,000 will do an automatic buyback of the token, which will inflate the price greatly and reward all investors because obviously the price appreciation will be available. If people choose to sell down at that point because the price has gone up, well, they will start contributing to the jackpot straight away, and those that don't sell will start getting the reflections from those sells. So there is either I can hold and continue to receive my reflection rewards and be part of the jackpot, or if I want to sell down some of my tokens, I can do that and benefit from the high price. So this trading volume will really either mean that there is constant trickles of trading or there are constant small jackpots on a regular basis. So I personally, I'm really interested to see how the dynamic of this works within the protocol. I will touch on whitelist because we are actually launching our whitelist sale on the 31st of May. So we're only 3 days away now from launching that, and we have 3 tiers of whitelists. We're actually at the moment, if you go to the Discord and go in the role station and claim your role, you can automatically achieve whitelist 1. So, that's enabled to everybody. Whitelist 2 is 15 invites, whitelist 3 is 35 invites, and some ranking levels in the Discord, as you can see. I'll cover off what they're doing, then I'll sort of cover the giveaway that you're doing today as well, if that's okay. So whitelist 1, we have a maximum of 1,000 spots with a minimum and maximum buy between $100 and $500. If you make a purchase being on whitelist 1, on launch, you'll be airdropped 200 Venus tokens. Whitelist 2, similar, except there's only 200 spots, minimum 75, maximum $1,000 buy. If you're in Whitelist 2, you'll receive an airdrop of 500 Venus tokens, whether you buy or not. So there is an incentive for people to get to Whitelist 2 there to get to the 15 invites, because by just bringing those individuals into our community, they will be rewarded with tokens on launch. Whitelist 3 is the same, lower minimum threshold, higher maximum threshold, but you'll be airdropped 1,000 Venus tokens. Now, obviously, you're going to do a giveaway of some whitelist spots today as part of this, and I'm going to give you that. You have the power to decide how you do that and who you give those to. What I would say is any members that like what they hear and they want to go in the Discord and have a look, my advice would be go and claim whitelist 1 before you're rewarded your whitelist, because that will bump you immediately to whitelist 2.
You guys heard him. Go do that right now.
So there is an incentive there if you're interested in and you like what you're hearing, just to get the whitelist 1 spot done, and then obviously submit your wallet, because we're now collecting wallets ready for the launch.
Would you mind real quick dropping your Discord link in the AMA questions chat so that while we're going through this, before they get the whitelist spot, we can have that for them?
Yep. Can I do the last slide?
Yeah, go
and then
for
I'll
it. Go
stop
for
sharing.
it.
That way I can do it without everybody seeing me click around the keyboard and drop that in. So probably the last thing to walk through is the roadmap and let you know exactly what we've got planned for the year. So the website is up and running. KYC community is done with Coinscape. Venus pre-sale is on 31st, as we say. Night will KYC post pre-sale, but pre-launch, and it will be audited post pre-sale and pre-launch. And the DApp already. We're going to be on Trader Joe paired with AVAX, a 1-year liquidity lot. The actual pre-sale is happening through the DApp. That is how we're going to do the pre-sale, and we plan to obviously list on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko post-launch. And we're going to burn 10% of the burn wallet in the first phase, 25% second phase, and then I think at the moment we are forming the plans to introduce an NFT play and earn game to achieve high rewards. That's at very early stages. No details on the game, no details on how that will function, but the team are currently working out how that may work. So I think the final bit for me before I sort of hand over and grab a drink while you ask me some questions is to say, the sort of questions that we're not got the answers for today in ways of areas. What is the soft cap, the hard cap, the whitelist token price, and the live token and the sale token price? Those have been worked out. We hope to release those in the next day or two. I'm just waiting on that information from Night, but don't have those as of today for this AMA, but they'll be out in our Discord in short order, because obviously they're needed in advance of the 31st of May. So that's sort of everything that I have. If I stop sharing now, I'll drop our Discord in, if that's okay.
That sounds perfect. I think Zach actually beat us both to it. So
he did indeed.
Yep,
it's there.
He already dropped the link.
Well, it's up to you. I can keep the. You can then ask me to go back to certain slides. I can keep this up, but over to you. That's everything I have to tell you without being questioned.
Awesome. All right, so let's. I got a couple questions. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the AMA questions chat. If you are very interested, DM me for that whitelist spot, and we'll do it that way, because we want to bring actual people that are gonna be putting in their interest into your project. So let's talk about it real quick. I got a couple questions, and then as people start to think of their own questions, they're welcome to ask in the AMA questions chat. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was you guys had different, I forget what you'd called them, but with the community votes, they could vote for different, bringing up different avenues that you guys kind of expand into.
Yes.
I believe you had that on like your second slide or something. Yeah, there we go. So how are you guys controlling that away from, someone actually going into a rebase, because you guys are not bringing any inflation in? Is it going to be something, is it actually written into your contract, whether like as a poll that someone can bring up, or is it you guys asking a question like, hey, what do you guys want us working on next?
Asking questions and making sure that any proposals fit within
Okay.
the aims of the project, and then us introducing those features. So people can't just do it without us.
Mm-hmm.
The development team would be involved, but what we want to do, and the reason for saying, whether it be rebase, the examples up, is that's what people recognise. I think the most important one in all of this diagram here are the two question marks in the bottom right,
Mm-hmm.
because if you go back 6 months, some of the ways that these projects are launching would not have been conceived of. The
Mm-hmm.
market's maturing, and so we've got a position when we say, you go back a couple of months and nodes were like not really around, and all of a sudden they became red hot, and then nodes have calmed down a little bit. Now we're into NFTs, and NFTs actually earning rewards, which are a form of a node, but you own an NFT. But that's what it really is
Mm-hmm.
at the heart of it. We've gone from having no sunk capital, where you had DAOs and you just had your tokens, which is effectively, we are no sunk capital because you can choose to sell at any time, to sunk capital where you'd purchase a node and that money's gone, and then you're looking to ROI and earn moving forward, accepting you sunk that. So we don't want to predict what we'll be here in 3 months, 6 months, whenever, and we don't want to restrict the protocol to that, and that's why it's really going to be down to the community. If you think about it, it's a finance ecosystem. So what becomes the best way forward in 3 months, we may not even conceive of today,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we want to operate like this.
I do like the fact that you do have that then, because that is a very interesting way of looking at things, just kind of adapting to the market. The market moves really fast. Things are always changing, and in the crypto world. So it's definitely a good thing to have for your project. Um, Kind of stemming from the different features, going back to infection. Can
Yep,
you go over that again? So you said if you give a coin to
yep,
a certain wallet.
yep. So let's use a real life example. Let's use
Mm-hmm.
you and I.
Mm-hmm.
I own Venus, and I want to, and I'm going to introduce you to the project. So I think it's a great project. We know each other. I'll send you a Venus token. By me sending it, it tags my wallet to your wallet. It knows that I was the first person to send you a Venus token. If you then go and buy Venus tokens, it will know I was the referrer and send me, rather than burning the 2% from the sell buy tax, it will
Mm-hmm.
send them to me. So you could tag many wallets, and if those people buy, you receive that 2% portion of the tax back into your wallet.
So now's the time to go spam a bunch of different people's wallets.
Or just get on there and send one Venus token randomly to 1,000 wallets and
Exactly.
hope they buy. But everybody can gamify that. But if you think about that
Mm-hmm.
often what happens is people will say, hey, get into Project X, I'm in there, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
There are referral systems out there, but a lot of people will just say that, and they'll go on and half will look at it and half won't.
Yeah.
What we're doing here is, if you think about this is investor marketing. If you think this is a great project, it's in your interest to tell other
Spread the
people
word.
about it, and we'll reward you for bringing them into the
Yeah.
ecosystem. So we're rewarding you for bringing another investor to the project, and that reward is permanent. It depends how long they buy. They might love it and keep buying. You could buy $50 worth of tokens. They could buy $10,000 worth, and you'll go, "Hey, this is gravy. This is great."
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I really like the marketing piece of this whole idea. That really interested me. So I love the idea of having a way that you could actually benefit from bringing other people to the project. Um, Kind of. So, all right, we do have a question actually on that. Can you sell? What do you mean by that, Vegan Dad? Do you mean can you sell? Oh, self refer. He's asking if you can self refer.
So you can't send a token to your wallet and claim the tax. No, the contract's smart enough to know that if the two contracts match. But obviously, it's wallet to wallet.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's gonna be like if you have a secondary wallet, if you could refer. Technically, I think that would be possible. Yeah, multiple wallets is what he meant. Okay. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that would be possible if you had multiple wallets to self refer. Technically. I'm not picking you up. Hello? Did we lose him? We may have lost him. I mean, I still see his screen. I just can't hear you. You can hear me? I'm not too sure. Do you want to try leaving the call and join him back? You can hear him? Is it just me?
Everybody
Okay.
can hear us, but
That was weird. Okay, that is odd.
can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. That was really weird.
That was bizarre. Everybody else was listening to our conversation except you.
Yeah. I couldn't I could not hear you. Okay. Awesome. I literally didn't even touch my computer and then it started working again, so I don't really know what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, well, on to that. I assume you answered that question.
Well, I suppose the answer I gave is if you have two wallets and you self-refer to your second wallet, that's gamifying the system. In effect, all you're doing on the second wallet is buying for 18%.
Yeah.
Because the 2% won't burn, it'll go back to your 1st wallet. So yes, I can understand, but there's no real way of us stopping that because wallets are wallets.
Of course. Of course, it's like paying off a credit card with another credit card, right?
Yeah. If people think it's worth it for 2% infection back to wallets, that's not really the aim of it. But if they want to manage their Venus that way, knock yourself out.
For sure. That doesn't take away the marketing aspect of it.
No.
Yeah, apparently there's some Discord issues, so we're totally good. So moving on, what are you guys doing now, as far as marketing goes, outside of AMAs and that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. So at the moment, we've concentrated our marketing efforts around AMAs. What we haven't done is any collaborations with any of the DeFi projects, and this has got nothing to do with those projects. This is more to do with, I think, the founder wants to make sure that we launch and because we want to have a serious launch in the sense of stand behind everything we do, and we wouldn't obviously want to be seen to endorse other projects, so that's got nothing against them. We don't want to put ourselves in that position. We're launching purely at the moment on our marketing. We've paid for some paid Twitter activity, and we're speaking to a number of YouTubers to come and look at our projects and do some videos around it, and then do the AMAs. And actually, really, after that, it is word of mouth from people within the community, and we've grown our Discord to over 3.2k now within a couple of weeks. So we're pretty happy with the growth. We've got a strong community, a strong whitelist community, and so we'll launch and then we'll take it forward from there. We're not actually looking to do the whole let's go when Lambo to the moon launch, because I've been around the space for 5 months now, seeing too many Lambos not getting bought.
Yeah, I definitely feel you there. I do love how sustainable the whole project is. I mean, the tokenomics they speak for themselves. You're not minting any new tokens, so it's definitely an interesting project. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything I've seen that's quite like this, especially involving a lot of the different aspects of these new node DeFi rebase projects.
Yep.
So you're finding that middle ground.
Yeah, and I think so. We step back a little bit here and sort of reflect on the DeFi space, and you probably tell I'm the wrong side of 50 with my age, and I've seen a lot in my time in industry where I work, and I think the DeFi space has got to mature to have investment vehicles, because what actually are these projects? They're crowdfunding projects. That's what they are at the heart of it. So when you see 6, 7, 8% daily returns, we know they're not sustainable. Yet we all go for them, and then we all go, I can't believe it's not sustainable. And so if 6, 7, 8% was sustainable in the real world, there are a lot of big business brains out there that would have already done it. So let's not kid ourselves that that sort of
Yeah.
return is something we can all rely on. We may all want to be frogs or whatever it may be, but actually, in reality, a project which provides returns based on the actual value by the project, almost a dividend-based return, is what works, not just an artificial inflation, because that has realised far too much on Ponzinomics.
Mm-hmm.
Our project will survive without any Ponzinomics. What we need to do, what is important for the project, is to encourage trading activity, because trading activity generates the tax, which generates the reflections, which brings people in because there's a return.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why one of the major features we want to launch is the jackpot feature, because we
Yes.
think that that gives people an incentive to buy the token, because either they will get a massive price bump if the jackpot reaches the 100k, or they may be in line to win the jackpot. I think the infection is a marketing tool, but again, that is reliant on new buyers coming in, but it's not reliant on new buyers coming in to fight the inflation of the token. They are just new buyers. So I think those are the two key things to hang on that give us a sustainability reference. And I think by doing that, if the community continues to be invested in us and sees the benefit of the project, I mean, ultimately, if on a buy you are taxed 20%, you either need the token to inflate in value, or you need to gain more revenue from your investment. So once you come into that, it's like anything. Your buy price is always less than your sell price at the start of an investment.
Mm-hmm.
So people that join the project, we think will stay with us, and then it is a matter of us making good on the returns, and also proving that we then add in new protocols that come online without those people feeling the need to go elsewhere, because all of a sudden this is the flavour of the day. I'm now going to go and buy whatever comes down the line. No, we can add that feature in. So you can use Venus Finance as your DeFi investment vehicle.
Mm-hmm. So I do have a question on that whole uh what was it, the buyback. So when 50,000, like let's say you hit 100k, 50,000 is bought back.
Yep.
Um, what happens next with those tokens? That are those being burned at all? Are those treated as a independent buyer? Is like where is that going?
1,000 will obviously be bought back from the AVAX that's in the
Mm-hmm.
jackpot pool, and those tokens will go into the burn wallet.
Okay, awesome. So that's okay. That makes a lot more sense. I was just double checking that there wasn't some other.
Yeah, they're not sat in the team wallet somewhere where we suddenly own all those tokens or anything like that.
That's interesting. I'm curious to see what happens if you hit like 15k and then no one wants to let it drop,
Yeah. Well, and there you have the whole concept behind the jackpot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we go, I'll be selfish here. If the whole investment community is from North America, I'll be up at 6 a.m. in the UK, knowing you lot are just going to bed waiting for my 10 minutes slot.
Oh, that's great. Perfect. Timing the world.
So all of a sudden, timing matters.
Yep. So, and just to double check, because it's a little bit blurry through Discord, is it 0.1 AVAX every 10 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. And is that
0.1
like an
every 10 minutes.
individual buyer purchasing 0.1 AVAX?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So the clock starts again every time there is a purchase of 0.1 of an AVAX.
Okay. Gotcha. This is it's very interesting. I do have one final question. If no one else has any questions, any more questions in that AMA chat, my final question for you, and it's probably a tough question for the final question, but what was kind of your guys' whole goal coming in, like designing this ecosystem? What was the whole this is what this ecosystem needs to hit? Like the purpose
That's
of
a
it.
lovely question to end on. Look, I think as part of seeing how the DeFi space has evolved, the goal was to put in place a real, sustainable, deflationary investment vehicle for people in this space to invest in. that will evolve with the space. So it enables people to invest knowing that this doesn't have a limited lifespan because another protocol will come along. They will just not need to, see the price, see the tokens go up by 10%, but the price drop by 10% and stand still. And also they do not need to sink their capital because you can sell your tokens at any time. That's entirely up to you. So I think our whole ethos was to produce a sustainable investment vehicle for DeFi that we can work with the community, that is community driven. So, we have to launch with a project, we have to launch with features. Post that, holders will help drive the project forward. They will say, we think we need this, we would like AVAX added, for example, to that. Right, okay, that's the next on the list, and that's what we do. And so I think that's it. Community driven DeFi sustainable investment is probably it in a nutshell.
That's awesome to hear. I do like the idea of making a long-term investment that people can use for crypto. We'll have to see how everything goes, but it seems your community is growing at a really fast rate. So hopefully you guys can keep it up.
Yep, we'll see. 31st of May will be a good day for us, we hope, and we'll see how we go on the pre-sale.
31st
But
of
it's like
May.
all pre-sales, you open it up, don't you, and then you see whether people like what you've done.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And then you make adjustments as you go. I love it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, unless you have any key points that we kind of missed touching up on, I think we're ready to wrap it up. I don't see any more questions. So yeah.
That's it from me. I mean, all I'd like to say, thank you for letting us do the AMA. Thank you for inviting us over. Let's see how we go, and if let's get the launch out of the way and potentially come back
Yes.
a month or two down the line, and we can review how it's going. Because I think that's one thing that we need to do more in DeFi. Say, okay, we had an AMA. Let's come back a bit later and say, how's it gone for you? What's worked and what's not worked?
We're all about those long-term partnerships with, with crypto groups, bringing them in multiple times just to keep on like up to date with them. So yeah, of course. And I'd love if I mean, I'll send you a couple DMs after this, but yeah, I'm very curious and I'd love to hear more about your project. So it was really nice having you on.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you guys. Thanks for listening.